The Academy of Stars was always filled with fear and pride. Cadets from many alien species came here to train. They wanted to prove who was brave, who was strong, and who was worthy to serve in the galaxy's fleets. Among them stood one human cadet. His name was simple. No one cared to remember it, for most aliens saw humans as weak newcomers. The training hall was a huge place, its walls shining with silver light. Cadets sat in rows while instructors spoke in cold voices. But that day was not a normal day. That day was meant to test fear. Without warning, a loud alarm rang across the hall. Red lights flashed, metal gates opened with a heavy growl. The ground shook as something huge stepped forward. Cadets gasped, some even screamed. A beast was being released. It was not a simple animal. It was a creature taken from a death world, its body covered in black fur, eyes glowing like fire, claws sharp enough to tear through steel. Its roar made the hall tremble. Every cadet felt their chest tighten with terror. Alien cadets began to panic. Some covered their faces, others pressed against the walls. Instructors did not stop them. They wanted to see who could face fear. They wanted to see who would stand. The human cadet did not move. He sat still, his hands resting on the table, his eyes watching the beast, his face calm. But inside his heart beat fast. He knew this was not a normal test. Something dangerous was happening. The beast's steps echoed through the hall. Boom, boom, boom. Every time it moved, alien cadets pushed farther away, but the creature was not interested in them. Its glowing eyes searched the room. Then it stopped. It turned its head slowly, and its gaze locked onto the human. A wave of fear spread across the cadets. Whispers filled the hall. They thought the human would be torn apart in front of them. They thought this was the end. But then something no one expected happened. The beast lowered its head. Its growl faded. Its heavy steps carried it closer to the human. Everyone froze. The instructors leaned forward. The cadets held their breath. The beast was only a few steps away. Its claws scratched the metal floor. The human did not flinch. He looked at the beast with steady eyes, and then, to the shock of all, the beast lay down beside him. It curled its massive body like a loyal hound, and within seconds the terrifying monster closed its eyes and fell asleep. Silence filled the hall. No one could believe what they were seeing. The same beast that made seasoned warriors faint was now sleeping peacefully at the feet of a human cadet. Alien cadets began to whisper louder. Some said it must be a trick. Some said the human was cursed. Others said the beast was broken. But deep down in their hearts, fear began to rise because they had never seen such a thing. The instructors exchanged nervous looks. This was not in the plan. The beast was trained to attack, to frighten, to crush courage. Yet here it was, harmless beside a human. The lead instructor clenched his jaw. He could not explain this. The human sat still, afraid to even breathe. The beast's warm breath touched his boots, but slowly he realized it was not going to harm him. He looked around and saw the eyes of every cadet locked on him, some filled with hate, some with confusion, and some with pure fear. One alien cadet shouted, "He did something to the beast." But his voice cracked. Another said, "No, the beast chose him." And the hall fell silent again. The instructors finally ended the test. The gates closed. The alarm faded. But no one forgot what they had witnessed. The human stood up slowly. The beast lifted its head, yawned, and followed him like a shadow. As the cadets left the hall, whispers filled the air. Rumors spread faster than fire. Humans are dangerous. Humans control monsters. Maybe humans are monsters themselves. The human walked quietly, his heart heavy. He never wanted this attention, but fate had chosen him. That night, the academy buzzed with fear and curiosity. Alien cadets avoided the human. Some glared with anger. Others kept their distance. Even the instructors kept silent. But in hidden rooms, the council of trainers met in secret. They spoke in low voices. "We cannot let this spread," said one. "If the galaxy learns that beasts bow to humans, everything will change." Another said, "Perhaps it is time to study this human more closely." Their eyes were sharp with suspicion. Meanwhile, the human sat alone in his dorm, the beast lying at his feet, breathing slow and calm. The human touched its fur gently. He felt no malice in it, only warmth, only trust. He whispered softly, "Why me?" But the beast only sighed and drifted deeper into sleep. Outside, the stars burned bright. The academy prepared for another day. But everyone knew nothing would be the same again. They had released a beast to intimidate cadets, but instead they had awakened a truth they were not ready to face. The academy woke with unease the next morning. Whispers spread faster than light. Every hallway echoed with the same story. The beast that was supposed to strike fear had curled beside a human and slept like a child. Alien cadets avoided the human as if he carried a curse. Some glared at him with hate. Others moved out of his way with wide eyes. He felt the weight of their stares but said nothing. His steps were steady, though inside his heart was full of questions. The instructors pretended to continue normal training. But everyone knew they were shaken. They whispered among themselves in locked rooms. None of them could explain why the beast had chosen the human. Some feared this would spread across the galaxy. Others thought it was only an accident. The human noticed how guards now followed him in the shadows. He noticed how cameras lingered longer on him than on anyone else. The academy was watching him, searching for answers. During a lesson on combat tactics, the beast appeared again. This time it was supposed to be locked away, but the doors slid open and it walked calmly into the hall. Cadets froze, many screamed, but the beast ignored them all. It walked straight toward the human and sat beside him. The instructor's voice trembled as he ordered containment units, but before anyone moved, the beast growled at the guards, a sound so deep the metal walls seemed to shake. None dared to approach. The alien cadets whispered in fear, "It obeys him. It protects him." Some shouted that this was unfair. Others began to suspect humans had some hidden bond with predators. The human himself was confused. He raised his hand slowly and whispered, "Stay," to the beast. To everyone's shock, the beast lowered its head and obeyed. Silence filled the room. Even the instructor could not speak. That night, the human was summoned to a secret chamber. High-ranking officers of the academy sat in a circle, their faces stern. "Explain," one demanded. "What trick are you using?" Another hissed. The human answered calmly, "I do not know. It just listens to me." The council did not believe him. They sent scientists to study the beast. They tried to separate it from the human. The moment they pulled the beast away, its roars shook the academy. Its claws shredded steel. Soldiers armed with plasma rifles backed away in terror. Only when the human returned did the beast grow calm. This frightened the council even more. One officer whispered, "If beasts obey humans, then humans are the most dangerous species here," another replied. "We must control this before the galaxy learns." The human sat silently. He felt like a prisoner, his life no longer his own. He wondered why the beast trusted him, why out of all cadets it chose him. He remembered the forests of Earth, the old stories his grandmother told, how humans were never the strongest, never the fastest, but they were always respected by the wild. Perhaps the beast saw something the aliens could not. The next day, tension grew. Alien cadets refused to sit near him. Some called him cursed. Others spat at the ground as he walked by. But when one bold cadet tried to shove him, the beast rose with a thunderous roar, its eyes blazing. The alien fell to the ground, shaking with fear. No one tried again. Rumors spread beyond the academy walls. Ships arriving at the station carried whispers of a human who commanded monsters. Fear began to grow not only in the academy, but across neighboring systems. One night, while the human rested, he overheard guards speaking. "They are planning something," one said. "Tomorrow they will test him in the arena. If the beast still obeys, then we will know," another whispered. "And if it does, the council may not let the human leave alive." The human closed his eyes but could not sleep. The beast rested at his feet, breathing calm, but the human's heart was heavy. He now understood the truth. He was not just a cadet anymore. He was a threat, not because of what he had done, but because of what he represented. And somewhere deep inside the academy, hidden from the cadets, the council prepared their most dangerous trial, one that would reveal if humanity was truly the species the galaxy should fear. The human woke early. The beast still asleep beside him. Its slow breaths filled the small dorm like the sound of a calm storm. Today was different. He felt it. The air was heavy. Guards stood outside his door with stiff faces. When they finally let him out, he saw the path was empty. Cadets had been ordered away. The corridors felt like a cage. His heart pounded. He was being taken somewhere secret. Soon the doors opened to a hidden chamber deep beneath the academy. The air smelled of metal and fire. Bright lights revealed a wide combat arena, walls as high as towers, gates on every side. Rows of officers sat above in silence, watching with cold eyes. A voice echoed, "Human, today you will prove if you control the beast or not." The human clenched his fists. "I do not control it," he answered. But the officers ignored him. The gates opened with a roar of machinery. The beast stepped out, its black fur bristling, eyes glowing, every guard tensed, weapons ready. But the beast walked straight to the human and lowered its head, like a soldier awaiting orders. Gasps filled the chamber. The officers leaned forward. One whispered, "It is true." Another whispered, "This is dangerous." Suddenly the floor shifted, metal doors opened, and new creatures entered the arena, smaller but faster, predators with razor teeth and snapping jaws. The trial had begun. The alien beast circled, hissing, claws scratching the ground. The human felt fear rise. He was unarmed, alone, but before he could move, his beast stepped forward. Its roar thundered through the arena. The smaller predators froze, then charged. The human shouted without thinking, "Left!" And to his shock, the beast obeyed, slamming its body into the attackers. Claws flashing, steel walls shook with every strike. The officers above watched with wide eyes. The human raised his hand again, his voice firm. "Down!" The beast crouched low, letting the attack slide over it, then crushed the predator with a single bite. Blood sprayed across the sand. Silence filled the chamber. Alien officers exchanged nervous looks. One muttered, "He commands it like it was born to follow him." Another whispered, "Then humans are more dangerous than we thought." The trial did not end. More gates opened. Larger predators rushed in, their eyes glowing with fury, their bodies like shadows of nightmares. The human's heart raced, but the beast did not hesitate. It looked back at him, waiting, trusting. The human lifted his hands slowly, his voice calm. "Stand." And the beast rose, taller than the predators. Its roar shook the arena again. The fight was brutal. Claws and fangs clashed. Sand turned red. Every time the human gave a word, the beast obeyed, and together they crushed the enemies. When the last predator fell, silence fell heavy. Smoke rose from the ground. The human stood trembling, sweat on his brow. The beast walked to him, bleeding but alive. It curled at his feet like before, eyes half closed but loyal. The officers above did not clap. They did not praise. They only whispered among themselves, fear clear in their voices. "This is no accident. This is a bond. If word spreads, the council will panic. We must decide what to do with this human." The human looked up at them, his chest rising and falling. He could feel their fear, their anger, their confusion, and deep inside he realized something he had not before. This was not about him anymore. It was about humanity itself. In the shadows of the chamber, one old officer spoke softly to another. "Long ago, records warned us, never test humans with beasts, for beasts will bow to them. They are death-worlders, and predators know their own." The other officer's face went pale. "Then we are standing on the edge of a greater danger than we ever imagined." The trial ended. The human was escorted back to his dorm, but now he knew the truth. The beast was not just a creature. It was a mirror, showing the galaxy what humans really were. And above in secret chambers, the council argued deep into the night. Some demanded his removal, some demanded his study, but all agree. On one thing, humanity was no longer weak in their eyes. It was something far worse, something that could not be ignored. The academy was no longer the same after the trial. Every cadet had heard the story, the human and the beast fighting side by side, the arena soaked with blood. The officers watching in silence. Alien cadets walked the halls with nervous eyes. Some kept their distance, others whispered curses. Hatred was growing. They felt humiliated. Their strongest predators had bowed to a human. In the training yard, groups of alien cadets gathered in circles, their voices sharp. "He is a danger," one hissed. "If humans can control beasts, then what will they do to us?" Another spat. "He does not belong here." The human felt the pressure every step. When he entered a room, silence followed. When he sat at a table, the others stood and left. He ate alone, trained alone. But the beast never left his side, its glowing eyes watching all who came too close. Some brave cadets tried to test him. One threw a stone toward the beast, laughing. The beast's roar shook the ground. The cadet fell on his back, pale with terror. After that, no one dared throw anything again, but anger turned into something worse, jealousy. One night the human woke to whispers outside his dorm, shadows moving in the corridor. The beast growled low, warning. When the door opened, he saw 3 cadets with blades made of plasma, their faces twisted with hate. Before they could strike, the beast lunged, its claws cut the weapons in half. Sparks filled the room. The cadets screamed and ran. Alarms rang across the academy. Guards rushed in, but none dared to punish the attackers. Instead, the blame fell on the human. The next day, whispers filled the academy. The beast attacked cadets. The human is dangerous. The truth was twisted. Fear was stronger than facts. The human saw how quickly lies became weapons. Instructors called a meeting, their voices cold. "You are too dangerous," they said. "The beast must be taken away from you." The human shook his head. "You cannot. It will not allow it." But they did not listen. Soldiers came with chains of energy. They tried to pull the beast away. The creature roared so loud the academy walls shook, windows shattered, alarms blared. The soldiers fell back in terror. One officer shouted, "Contain it!" But no weapon could bring it down. Finally, the human stepped forward. He placed his hand on the beast's fur and whispered, "Calm." The beast lowered its head. The soldiers stared in disbelief. The council now met in secret chambers, their voices heavy with fear. "This cannot be ignored," one said. "If humans bond with predators, they will be unstoppable," another hissed. "We must either control them or destroy them." But an old officer shook his head, his voice slow and grim. "Destroying humans will only bring war. Their world is filled with predators. If they can tame them, imagine what their armies could do." Meanwhile, alien cadets grew more restless. They no longer saw the human as one of them. They saw him as a threat, a shadow over their pride. Jealousy turned into hate, and hate into plans of revenge. The human felt it all. The stares, the whispers, the fear. He knew he was walking on the edge of danger, but deep inside something changed. He no longer wanted to hide. He no longer wanted to run. He began to wonder. Perhaps the beast had chosen him not by chance, but for a reason. That night, as the stars shone above the academy, the beast lifted its head and growled toward the sky. The sound was not anger, it was a warning, as if it knew something greater was coming, something beyond the academy walls and far away. In the council of the galaxy itself, messages were already being sent, warnings about a human cadet who would command monsters. Leaders argued in fear. Should humanity be embraced as allies or locked away as enemies? The academy did not yet know, but the storm was already building, and soon the entire galaxy would be watching. The academy could no longer hide the truth. The bond between the human and the beast had shaken every hall. Fear was spreading like fire. Cadets avoided him, instructors whispered, and soldiers walked with weapons ready. The council ordered a final trial, one that would reveal the truth to all. If the human truly commanded the beast, then no doubt would remain. If he failed, both would be destroyed. The human was summoned at dawn. The beast walked beside him, its glowing eyes calm but sharp. The corridors were lined with guards, the air thick with tension. Whispers followed him like shadows. The trial chamber was larger than any he had seen before. A vast arena with traps hidden in the ground, walls that shifted, and machines waiting to test every limit. Rows of alien officers sat high above, their faces cold and silent. A voice thundered, "Today, human, you will guide the beast through the gauntlet. If it obeys you, we will know. If not, you both die." The human's heart pounded, but his face remained steady. The gates opened, the ground shook. The beast stepped into the arena, its fur bristling, its body ready. It looked at the human, waiting for a signal. The trial began with fire. Walls erupted with flames. The heat burned the air. Cadets watching from above gasped. Predators released into the arena fled in terror, but the beast stood firm. The human raised his hand, forward, and the beast obeyed. Walking through fire without fear, the floor opened next. Steel spikes shot upward, deadly and sharp. The human's voice rang out, "Jump!" The beast leaped, its massive body clearing the trap with ease, its claws scraping the stone as it landed. Alien officers leaned forward, their eyes wide. "It listens," one whispered. "Every word," another answered. Then came the predators. Faster, stronger. Creatures bred for war, their bodies covered in armor. They attacked in packs. The human shouted, "Circle!" The beast spun, claws tearing through the attackers. Blood sprayed, screams echoed. Every predator fell. The crowd could not stay silent. Some gasped in awe. Others muttered in fear. One cadet whispered, "This is not training, this is war." Suddenly, the arena shifted again, the walls opened, and a new beast appeared, larger than any before, its body covered in spikes. Its roar shook the arena like thunder. This was the final test. The human froze for a moment. This creature was no ordinary predator. It was a nightmare made flesh. Even the beast beside him growled low, uncertain. The officers watched closely, their eyes sharp. This was the moment they waited for. If the human failed here, he would die. If he succeeded, then humanity would rise as a threat the galaxy could not ignore. The spiked monster charged, its claws digging trenches into the ground. The human shouted, "Stand!" His beast rose tall, slamming into the creature. The impact shook the ground, dust filled the air. The fight was brutal, claws clashed, teeth snapped, blood spilled. The human shouted command after command. Strike, left, hold. And every order was followed with deadly precision. At one point, the spiked monster knocked the human to the ground. The officers leaned forward, ready to declare his death, but his beast roared with fury, placing its body over him, shielding him from the attack, claws tearing through steel spikes, blood flowing but unyielding. The human rose again, his voice stronger. Together, and the beast obeyed with one final strike. It drove the monster to the ground. Silence fell across the arena. The human stood covered in dust and blood, his beast breathing heavy but alive. The trial was over. The spiked monster lay dead. Above, the officers whispered in fear. "He commands not only beasts, he commands respect," one muttered. "If humanity can do this, they could lead armies of predators," another hissed. "Then the galaxy is in danger." The human looked up at them, his voice steady. "You see danger, but you do not see truth. The beast chose me because I do not control it. I respect it." But his words did not calm them. Instead, they planted deeper fear. The council would not forget this. They could not ignore what they had seen. That night, the academy was silent. Cadets did not sleep. Officers did not rest. Everyone knew the bond was real, and now the galaxy would decide what to do with humanity. The human sat with his beast, its wounds bleeding but its eyes calm. He placed his hand on its fur and whispered, "They will never understand us." The beast closed its eyes, and for a moment, the human felt less like a cadet and more like a soldier standing at the edge of war. The arena trial had ended, but its echo did not fade. Whispers spread across the academy like storm winds. The human had faced fire, steel, predators, and even a nightmare beast, and still stood with his companion beside him. Alien cadets avoided him more than ever. Some could not meet his eyes. Others spat when he walked by. Hatred and fear had fused together, yet none dared to touch him, for the beast's glowing eyes followed every move. Instructors spoke less now, their lessons hollow, their voices trembling. Everyone knew their words meant nothing after what they had seen. The academy no longer felt like a place of learning. It felt like a cage ready to break. Beyond the academy walls, ships carried stories to other systems, tales of a human cadet who commanded predators. At first, many dismissed it as rumor, but then reports confirmed it. The panic grew. The Galactic Council gathered in a hidden sea. Hamber, the air heavy with fear, leaders of many species shouted over each other, "If this is true, humans are a danger to us all. We must act now before it is too late." An old archivist spoke, his voice thin but steady. Long ago, in forgotten records, it was written that humans come from a death world. Their planet is filled with predators. Every step of their history was survival. Beasts do not see them as prey. Beasts see them as kin. The chamber fell silent, the words cut deeper than any weapon. If predators bowed to humans, then humanity was not just another species. They were a power nature itself had chosen. Panic spread. Some leaders demanded war, others demanded isolation. A few whispered that humanity could be the perfect weapon. Back in the academy, the human was summoned again, this time not to an arena, but to a council of instructors, their faces pale, their eyes sharp. "The galaxy fears you now," one said. "They believe your kind can command armies of predators," another added. "And perhaps they are right," the human answered quietly. "I do not command, I respect, that is the difference." But his words did not change their fear. That night, soldiers tried again to separate him from the beast, their weapons stronger, their chains heavier. But when they fired, the beast broke the walls of steel. Its roar shook the entire academy. Alarms screamed. Cadets fled in terror. The human stepped forward, his voice strong. "Stop!" And the beast obeyed, lowering its head. The soldiers looked at each other with pale faces. No weapon could match that bond. The council realized the truth. They could not contain the human without destroying the academy itself, and yet they could not release him, for fear that the galaxy would fall into chaos. In the shadows of the council chamber, one leader whispered, "This is no longer about a cadet. This is about humanity. If one can do this, then all can. We must prepare for the worst." Meanwhile, alien cadets began to plot in silence. Some wanted him dead, some wanted him exiled, but none wanted him to stay. Jealousy burned in their hearts. Fear poisoned their thoughts. The human felt the tension like a storm pressing on his chest. He sat in his dorm with the beast beside him, staring out at the stars. He whispered, "They are afraid of us. They will not stop. They will come again." The beast growled low, as if agreeing, and far beyond the academy, in dark rooms of the Galactic Council, decisions were being made, fleets were being prepared, and plans of containment were written in silence. The galaxy had mocked humans once, calling them weak, fragile, unworthy. But now fear had taken root, and fear was stronger than any truth. What none of them knew was that the academy was about to face a threat greater than any trial, a crisis that would decide not only the fate of the human cadet, but the fate of all humanity. The storm came without warning. The academy alarm screamed in the middle of the night. Red lights flashed across every hall. Cadets rushed out of their dorms, their voices filled with fear. Something had broken through the outer defenses, a swarm of predators, larger and more violent than anything seen before. They poured through the gates like a living flood, claws tearing metal, teeth snapping through armor. The instructors shouted orders, guards fired weapons, but nothing slowed the creatures. Cadets who once mocked each other now ran in terror. Chaos swallowed the academy. In the center of the storm, the human stood with his beast. The creature growled low, its eyes burning with fire. It was ready, but it waited for him. Alien cadets screamed, "We cannot stop them. We are doomed." Their weapons fell useless, their pride shattered. They looked at the human with desperation. The same one they had hated, the same one they had feared. The human clenched his fists. He could run, he could hide, but something inside him refused. He stepped forward, his voice calm but strong. "Stand with me," he said to his beast. And the beast rose tall, its roar shaking the battlefield. The swarm rushed, claws tearing the ground, but the beast leapt forward, smashing through the first wave. The human shouted commands, left, strike, hold, and every word became action. Predators fell one after another, their bodies crushed beneath the beast's strength. Cadets stared in disbelief. The same monster they had feared now fought for them, protecting them, shielding them. An alien cadet who once spat at the human fell to the ground, a predator rushing toward him before it could strike. The beast slammed into it, saving his life. The cadet's eyes widened with shock. The human shouted louder, his voice carrying through the chaos. "We fight together, or we die." Slowly, cadets began to rise. They raised their weapons, their fear turning into courage. With the beast at the front and the human commanding, the cadets pushed back the swarm, step by step. Blood and dust filled the air. The academy walls shook, but the tide began to turn. Above, officers watched with wide eyes. They had seen many battles, but never this. Never cadets fighting side by side under the command of a human and his beast. Finally, the last predator fell. Silence filled the academy, the air thick with smoke. Cadets stood trembling, their faces pale but alive. The beast lowered its head, breathing heavy, blood dripping from its claws. It curled once more beside the human, its eyes closing in exhaustion. All around, alien cadets stared at him, no longer with hate, but with something else, something they had never given to humans before. Respect. An instructor stepped forward, his voice shaking. "You saved us all." The human shook his head. "No, we saved each other." His voice was calm, but his words struck deeper than any weapon. The council above could not deny what they had seen. They came to the academy in silence, their robes heavy, their eyes sharp. One leader spoke, "We released a beast to intimidate cadets, but instead we discovered a truth. Another whispered. It was not the beast that frightened us. It was the human who stood beside it, not as a master, not as a tyrant, but as a partner. The human looked up at them, his voice steady. You fear us because you do not understand us. We are not here to control. We are here to survive, and survival means standing with those who trust us. The chamber was silent. The cadets bowed their heads. Even the beast gave a low growl of agreement. And so the story of the human cadet spread far beyond the academy, across systems, across worlds. Whispers became legends. Legends became warnings. They had brought a beast to scare cadets, but instead the galaxy had learned a final lesson. Humanity could not be broken. Humanity could not be tamed. And when predators bowed, it was not out of fear, but out of respect.